In the late 4th century AD, a fractured China that was divided into various kingdoms was desperate to unify as its peoples had been exhausted by the constant invasions by barbarians to the north, most specifically the Xiongnu, a fierce enemy. During one particularly bloody battle, as the Chinese lay on the edge of bitter defeat, their soldiers massacred in the snow. Over the mountain rode a soldier on a chariot of fire, her eyes rich with courage, her heart swelled by determination, as she galloped through the snows beneath which her fallen comrades lay, far behind enemy lines, raining death down on the barbarian army. A fellow soldier, taking the last of his mortal breaths, caught a glimpse of her racing valiantly towards the fight, and spent his final air to utter aloud a single word: hope.
You hungry? Yeah, 'cause I owe you a knuckle sandwich.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. I imagine almost all of you, or at least most of you, have either seen or at least know of the Disney movie Mulan. The film tells the story of a brave young woman who disguises herself as a man, takes her father's place in battle, and helps to save China from invasion by the Huns.
You just spoiled Mulan for me, bro!
I swear if I get those comments, now I'm gonna get those comments. Anyway, let's get down to business. We all know the Disney story, but is there a real person behind the story? That's the question we are going to answer in today's video, along with offering some context as to Mulan's significance in history. The truth is that for the most part, Mulan is thought of as more of a legend than an actual person, but the stories that comprise the legend might indeed be based on a real person. It's impossible to know. The story of Mulan originated with the Ballad of Mulan, a poem first transcribed in the 6th century anthology Musical Records of Old and New. However, the earliest text of the poem that remains in existence comes from the anthology of Yuefu poetry, or the Music Bureau Collection, a collection of Music Bureau style or Yuefu poetry compiled by Guo Maoqian in the 11th or 12th centuries, some 600 years after the original poem was written. We know of the earlier version of the poem because Guo Maoqian referenced the Musical Records of Old and New as his source for his version of the Ballad of Mulan. For you students out there, yeah, plagiarism was not okay in ancient China either. As a side note, the Music Bureau was a state institution dating back to the earliest times in Chinese history that was responsible, often as charged by the emperor himself, for managing affairs related to music, poetry, entertainment, and even religion. As part of such responsibilities, the Music Bureau would of course keep record of historical music and poetry, such as the Ballad of Mulan. Anyway, Guo Maoqian's version of the poem tells of a woman, Mulan, who when the army comes to recruit troops, realizes that her father is going to be forced to serve, as he doesn't have a son of requisite age to go in his stead. To protect her father, Mulan goes to the market and buys a horse and equipment and rides off at dawn to take her father's place in the army. She spends over 10 years at war, journeying tens of thousands of miles along the way. When she and her fellow soldiers finally return home, they go to meet the emperor, or the Khan actually, who hands out promotions and prizes to the heroic soldiers. Mulan's great feats lead the Khan to ask her what she desires, to which she responds that she wants money whores in a giant palace. Just kidding, all she asks for is a horse so that she may return home. Respect. The Khan obliges and Mulan returns to her family, who is excited to greet her. She removes her battle armor, puts on her old clothes, and changes her hair, and then goes outside where she finds her fellow soldiers waiting for her. And her former comrades are shocked to discover that Mulan, whom they had been so close to and had traveled with for so many years, is a woman. So that's the story, and thus I suppose the answer is yes. Mulan did take her father's place and join the army, where she fought capably and helped to save China, or at least the kingdom of China within which she lived. Again though, whether this legend is based on a true story or not is unknown, and no, a verbose diminutive dragon is not mentioned in the poem. The importance of Mulan, though, is the historical significance of her legend. The Ballad of Mulan is set during the Northern Wei dynasty, which lasted from 386 to 536 AD. This was a period in Chinese history in which China was split between North and South, with the North being ruled by the Northern Wei, and the South being ruled first by the Southern Song, and then later the Southern Qi. Additionally, the Northern Wei was established following an alliance between the Jin dynasty that ruled southern China and the Tuoba, a Xianbei clan that came to rule northern China as the Northern Wei dynasty. The two kingdoms came together to team up against the southern Xiongnu, a nomadic people that roam the lands to the north of China. The Xiongnu were one of the 5 barbarians, a name for 5 different non-Chinese tribal ethnic groups who overthrew the Western Jin dynasty and established their own separate kingdoms between the 4th and 5th centuries. The 5 barbarians are most likely what Disney intended the Huns to represent. The actual Huns, a nomadic people that roamed Central Asia, the Caucasus, and Eastern Europe from the 4th to 6th centuries AD, probably never entered China themselves. However, after the northern Xiongnu had been handedly defeated by the Xianbei people in Han Dynasty in the 2nd century, the northern Xiongnu retreated to the northwest across the Eurasian steppe. And many modern historians believe that they migrated through Eurasia and became the Huns, or at least have some sort of genetic and cultural continuity with the Huns. So having the Huns be the villains in the movie isn't completely off base, if not totally accurate. Mulan herself might have actually not been meant to be an ethnically Chinese person, but a member of the Xianbei, the Turkic people who, as we said, founded the Northern Wei dynasty and ruled northern China between the 4th and 6th centuries AD. Actually, as the Stanford Center for East Asian Studies notes, the legend of Mulan might have originated in a Tuoba folk song in the Tuoba's native Altaic language. This would explain why the Ballad of Mulan refers to the emperor as Khan. Of course, it's a little ironic that the Disney movie portrays what appears to be Han Chinese peoples fighting against northern barbarians in the Huns. The Xianbei, after all, were one of the 5 barbarians. That said, the spirit of the movie still makes sense, as 3 Xianbei tribes, the Murong, Duan, and eventual Northern Wei founders, the Tuoba, fought on the side of the Western Jin against the other 4 barbarians during the uprising of the 5 barbarians, a series of rebellions by the 4 barbarian groups between 304 and 316 AD. In any case, so you have the Northern Wei dynasty, the dynasty during which the Ballad of Mulan is set, emerging out of a period rife with barbarian invasion of China and a long period of disunification of China. And why am I going through all this history? Well, the Chinese people needed hope and inspiration, and so a poem like the Ballad of Mulan might have served the purpose of providing such, and even perhaps motivated people to fight to protect China. By that measure, Mulan, whether real or not, more than just being notable for being a female warrior, is a symbol of hope for the Chinese people. It should be noted that the original legend was later adapted into different stories, each of which took liberties with the original source material and became noteworthy in their own right. 16th century Ming playwright Xu Wei adapted the Ballad of Mulan into a play entitled The Heroine Mulan Goes to War in Her Father's Place. Mulan was also the central character in the Sui Tang Romance, a 17th century Qing novel written by Chu Renhuo. The novel presents a completely different story than the Ballad of Mulan though, as it's set during the Tang Dynasty and ends with Mulan's father dying, her mother being taken in by the Khan as a concubine, and with Mulan herself committing suicide. A truly fun-loving and lighthearted version of the story. Safe to say the novel was not the inspiration for the Disney movie and no doubt completely fictional and thus not relevant to what we are discussing in today's video. Now, I don't want to completely dismiss the significance of Mulan being a woman serving in the army. Women throughout ancient China were subject to various oppressive practices, restrictions on their rights, and traditional gender roles. However, it's not unthinkable that a woman could have found her way into the army. There have been women throughout Chinese history who have served in various military roles. One of the most famous of such women was Fu Hao, one of the wives of King Wu Ding, the ruler of the Shang dynasty, which reigned in the lower Yellow River Valley all the way back in the 2nd millennium BC. In 1976, Fu Hao's tomb was unearthed at Yinshu, the location of a historical capital of China and now a major archaeological site noteworthy for its oracle bones, the inscriptions in which are the earliest known Chinese writing. The inscriptions in the oracle bones unearthed at Yinshu revealed her to be a major Shang dynasty general. Oh, and the weapons found in her tomb helped to hint at her military status as well, especially the great battle axes. Actually, she was probably the most powerful Shang general in her time, and she led Shang forces during some of her era's most important battles. Furthermore, as the Yinshu tombs revealed, there were at least hundreds of women who served in the military during the Shang dynasty, and this was thousands of years before the earliest version of Mulan's story was transcribed. So even if people died at the ripe old age of 5 back then, women were at least to some degree respected for their military capabilities.
Who are you? Your worst nightmare.
Anyway, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give it a like. Definitely comment down below, whatever the heck you want. Remember to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. I really hope that you enjoy the history videos that we do. If you do, let us also know in the comments down below. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.